And I'm going to admit everyone. And we're starting. Hello, welcome. I'm Carolina Wheat, curator at Artfare. And tonight for our Thursday live broadcast with an artist on Artfare, we have Jodie Lyn-Kee-Chow.
Yes.
We practiced. Hi.
Hi,
welcome.
everyone.
Yeah, we've got some regulars here. Welcome back. Sorry, everyone. Last week I got stuck down deep, very South Brooklyn with a flat tire and on the side of the road. And so it was one of the first times I actually had to cancel one of our artist interviews on Thursday, but we're making it up at the end of September. But anyway, we are here now with Jodie, and thank you for being on Artfare. And my question to you is first, where are you at currently?
Currently, I am at EFA, at one of the offices here at EFA, just upstairs from the Robert Blackburn printmaking studio. And this is in Manhattan, by the way. Yeah, I love it here.
Yeah, how long have you been there?
Well, I've been an artist in residence for almost a year.
Oh, that's
around a year. Working on the coloring book.
The coloring book. So you kind of went in there mid-COVID. They were inviting folks and continuing the program. That's outstanding.
Well, actually, it wasn't in person. I was in Governor's Island at the beginning of my residency because the printmaking studio was not open. Until I think it was until December when I could start actually going in person to print.
Right. And so you're working on a coloring book? You said right now? Pray tell us more about that.
Yeah. It's my coloring book, my risograph coloring book titled Junkanua Come, and it's a coloring and a masquerade coloring and activity book with AR experience. I'll get into it more with the images that I'm going to show, but it's based on my ongoing Junkanua Come performance that I started in 2018, and it's been quite a journey researching this practice, which stems from Junkanu, the Jamaican Junkanu, which actually stems from West Africa, Ghana. So where these characters were created and performed by enslaved Africans in the Caribbean, in the British-speaking Caribbean. So most of them. So there are like about 10 characters in the book, but there are about 15 that I would like to develop. So that's why it's such an ongoing long-term project for me.
Right. And you're printing the edition yourself of the risograph print. How many do you think you'll have in the edition? Seems like a kind of sought after item.
Well, the staff here, the printmaking staff here, there's a full team working on the risograph machine, and they actually did the printing hands-on. I didn't get to do that much of it. I just made the images and the content for the book, and they have been so tremendously helpful with putting this whole thing together.
That's so classy. Working with risographs kind of take me back. They're dusty, a little dirty, and like changing the tubes and making sure it's not stuck. And I mean, they're clunky objects made from, the 70s, like pure style, I suppose. It feels so raw when you're layering those colors on top of each other. Do you have a set, like how many colors are you layering, or how many different layers are you using? I guess I wanted
that's
to ask
a good
for the
question. I believe it's like 5 because there are some browns in there, but it's really the color part of the book is only the cover, and then the inserts, the content material is black and white.
Left for everyone else to color in, huh?
That's right. And I have a little slogan on it and it says "Just add color." It's like a it's like a little sticker thing. But you'll see it in the images that I'll show later. So
Very
I'm excited
cool.
to show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're done. It's 500 copies and they're pretty
Oh.
much done. Pretty much done. Yeah. So they've been distributed, like Printed Matter has some, and EFA, you can buy it through a link. I can share that link with you if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please. I know a couple of the works that you have on Artfare are, you know, kind of remnants of your performances, which I know and I really want to talk about, but even the American Mother that we used as the title slide for, you know, promoting this event. I was really excited to see that it was in fact the remnants of this composition, or like sculptural ephemera, as you called it, which is kind of embedded with this magic power that you put in there.
Oh yes, yes, so that's a good read, definitely. Thank you. I'm still looking for that link. Hang on one second.
And if anyone has any questions that are here, welcome. Folks that are here, thank you so much for joining. Throw questions, comments, and stuff in the chat. When Jodie starts sharing your screen, it's kind of hard to see the chat sometimes, so I'll give a shout out to questions and other comments, and otherwise at the end, usually give a little time to ask your question. Jodie's full attention. Did you find the link?
Yes, I'll put it in the chat.
Word.
And yeah, you can pre-order a copy there too. It's around 27 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have the activities are also the AR experience, where you download an app and like you would scan the title pages to give you the full picture of my rendition of the character.
Oh.
It's really just like the color version of the drawings, but the coloring book has the black and white line drawing version.
Got
so it just gives you
you.
something to compare it to, or to, you know, because I have descriptions in the book as well, but it just makes it, it's actually designed for kids ages 10 and up. You know, it's like a learning tool to learn about the practice. Yeah.
Sure. And so the AR, did you work to render all that and create those files for the experience, or were you working with someone else? That's incredible.
Well, yeah, I had an assistant that helped me to upload the images, but I had to scan them all, and I had the team here also help with designing, you know, the back end of things. My intern assistant helped me with most of the back end electronic stuff, but for the book, I had to design like a particular code or like a symbol to know to help people navigate where to scan.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. Well, I'm extremely excited to get to some of your work and to talk about your work and the context of where it comes from. So are you ready to start sharing your screen, some videos?
Sure. All right, 1 second. Let me get back on my... Sorry for my little lag here.
You're good.
Okay. You see that?
Yes. Oh, now we can. Gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
There we go.
Yeah. So I prepared about 36 slides. So some of them we'll rush through, but and I have a few video clips to share. So again, I'm Jodie Lyn-Kee-Chow, and I'm saying it with the Jamaican accent. But I am Jamaican and Chinese, Afro-Jamaican Chinese, and there's some European blood in there, but I think it's Scottish. But yeah, I grew up saying my name this way, but I spent some time in China too, and the way, if I'm pronouncing it right, is Jodie Lyn-Kee-Chow. That's with the Chinese accent, the Chinese way. So this cover photo is a still from a performance that was done in 2016 called Picnic Parade, and the photograph is by M. Charlene Stevens. So,
Jodie, when you traveled to China, did you go from to which province is your family from?
Guangzhou.
Guangzhou.
Yeah,
Nice.
South China. Yeah.
Yes, very
Yeah.
cool. So you got to hit Shenzhen and Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I spent quite a bit of time in Shenzhen. I was there for about 4 months, living with one of my closest friends and just trying to do a little research on the culture. But this was like back in, I've been to China 4 times. It feels like my third home. Like Jamaica is my first home, the United States is my second home, and China is my third home.
Love
and
it.
I think it has to deal with the amount of time I've spent in these places, you know? Yeah. So I've spent, I haven't even spent more than 5 months. I don't know. Yeah. China is about, I spent a lot of time there. Yeah. I almost lived there. So yeah. And it's my ancestral home. So it's home.
Right. Definitely.
Part of my ancestral home.
What a gift, you know, to have some of the genetic, maybe history and language to pull from in relationship to health and wellness and in relationship to a lot of your performances. It must feel really fantastic to have that lineage. I can only imagine. And I know right now it's a little bit typhoon season, so it's been wild. I know, well, Hunan province and such, but I know it's much more north and central plains, but it just feels like, the air and, global warming is really happening pretty heavy. Do you have any family elsewhere in China, or is it predominantly just the South that you end up spending time in?
Not that I know of. Actually, I didn't meet any family in China, and that's part of my family story, is that there is this estrangement on the Chinese side.
Oh,
but my father is half Chinese, so my grandfather is full-blooded Chinese, but he's but grew up in Jamaica, from my understanding. But
understood.
Yeah, we're all over the place. They live in Canada. My Chinese side of the family, most of them live in Canada. So go figure. So I don't know.
Well, this is you, Jamaica,
this is me.
1978.
Yeah, this is the 3-year-old version of me. Nice. I don't think much has changed. I just got taller. But so this is me playing with flowers in my grandmother's garden, and I always show this picture with an artist talk like this because it's so much. I get a lot of my inspiration from the rural countryside in Jamaica. I grew up there. I didn't migrate to this country until I was like almost 12 years old. So it's my childhood that, I was raised there, and I grew up seeing like a lot of lush landscapes in the countryside. And even though I didn't live that close to my grandmother, it was like an hour drive, but that's where we would spend weekends. And so, her garden was looking like a Matisse painting. I mean, Monet painting.
Monet, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I always start with this picture. I feel like there's a lot of the memories that I had growing up there has found its way into my work today. But it's not just that. It's also like when I'm like migrating to the States and experiencing racism for the first time. And that's what this piece is about, the American Mother, composition in black, white, and gray. So this is the performance ephemera from a performance done in 2017 for Siren Arts AP in Asbury Park. I probably should have noted that there. But I can show a brief clip of how this piece was made live.
Let's do it.
So second. I'm gonna just fast forward to 8 minutes in.
This shit. Get off on this shit.
It's a little loud.
How I find this shit? Get off. Just like this. In the store. Like this. Like this. Alright? I was shaking when I saw that shit. Alright? I want to see that shit in my neighborhood. Alright? They must have been there before me, but I'm there now. That's not alright. Huh? What do you want to do with it?
Stop it.
You want to drop it now?
Yes.
All right. Ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. That didn't work. Yeah. All right. It's not over yet. Anybody know what spiritual is? Y'all need to get spiritual up in this bitch. Let's get spiritual going. You wanna follow me? I'll sing it first. It's only 4 lines. It goes something like this. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. I said wake the fuck up. Because it's time to fight the sleep. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. I said wake the fuck up. Because it's time to fight the disease. Can you remember that? All right, one more time. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Because it's time to fight the sleep. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Because it's time to fight the disease. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Because it's time to fight the sleep. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Because it's time to fight the disease. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Because it's time to fight the disease.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I brought it outside.
No, that's great. Thank you all so much for coming.
Okay. So that performance was prompted by the hateful events in Charlottesville in 2017. I think that was one of my best performances. I don't normally work that way. I don't normally like to recite lines and do so much acting, but I felt very good about it. And with that performance, I think I was able to demonstrate a range of ideas. I was the only person in that performance playing 3 characters. So I did costume changes just with the basic black on. I played a cat with a white mask. I played a housekeeper, a black housekeeper, and then I played the mistress of the house. You know, so, and it was loaded with like it was about race, and it was about like who did the crime, like who spilt the milk. I was playing this cat that would spill the milk. Anyway, it was just I found this Confederate plate in my neighborhood in the thrift store in Queens in 2017, and I was like, "Why are you selling this?" I asked the thrift store people, and they're like, and I was like, "This shouldn't even be for sale, but you know what? I'm gonna buy it."
Oh my God!
And then just to even though and then the intention was to break it. So,
And that
anyway,
happened. Well, I a question about. I'm happy to hear that you feel that that's one of your best performances because, it was 2017, which is early on from some of the other performances that we're going to be looking at tonight, and it feels like embedded with so much passion and so much just virility. The strength in the fact that you're playing all those characters. My question is, you're scripting this, or do you wing any of your, for instance, you said that you were speaking a lot about Charleston and otherwise, but did you have a 2-minute script you were using, but it looked like it was about 10 minutes? Like how do you plan the text that you're speaking, or the performance?
Oh, I spent a lot of time writing and thinking about the
Mm-hmm.
sequence, the narrative, what comes next. It's funny, I never did like a screenplay per se, but this was technically like a small play. But I also, made it a performance where it was participatory. Like I divided the crowd by skin color and walked through them and asked each person did they spill the milk, like. And then we got to the part where we broke the Confederate plate. So it was a while to construct, but I had a really fun time constructing that. And then I got to even do some songwriting, like I wrote that little jingle,
Wake the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should come out, I should just release the album now, Yeah.
Well, it does, I wanted to hear how intentional it was and how thoughtful it was from you, seeing that, we saw a few snippets, and that participatory element that you have with your audience is something that is really compelling too. And dividing everyone up in skin tones or culture or ethnicities or, race, that could get pretty tricky sometimes, especially in New York.
Yeah.
Like, wait, Shank put you there, she put you here, you let it go. But
this was in Asbury Park though, but still.
Asbury Park.
A little bit. I mean, it was mostly a white audience.
Sure. Where is Asbury Park?
New Jersey, by the beach.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So they were gracious hosts and to work with me to let me start a fire inside the gallery with artwork. I mean, hands off. Right. They were amazing.
Well, that's incredible that they allowed you to do what you did in this space that was powerful, and not only for you but for the audience, right? And for the gallery goers. My question would also be, if you're planning these, as you mentioned, plays or, like a monologue of sorts, but, one person's playing 4 characters, do you seek a more theatrical setting, or you prefer to, maybe for future iterations of this, or would you seek a theatrical setting, or do you prefer to stay in the gallery?
That's a good question. That was a 20-minute performance.
Okay.
I don't see it being in a, maybe, if the kitchen wanted to host a performance night, hey, call me, I'm ready. But like a, standard theater,
sure.
I don't know. I think it depends on.
Because I've seen some cool stuff like Abrams or Live that, there's been a Live Arts, New York Live Arts.
Live Arts would be good.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Anyway, would you consider doing that performance again, or is it like a one and done?
Oh, that's a good. I often don't like to repeat performances I mean, it depends, but that particular performance, because I have to backtrack, you know, my thinking, and I have to really put myself into that character, and it takes a lot of energy. I think I would need like 6 months in advance to prepare to do that again, to be honest, because of what else that I have going on, and I think it takes so much energy. But
Yes, it
I
does.
think, you know, if the time is right, if the venue is right, if they're going to compensate me well enough, then
Right.
I'll consider it. Yeah.
I love that.
I think it was a good performance, but I can't find another Confederate plate, and I don't want to have to do that.
I'm sure they're out there, unfortunately.
Can I just add something? Sorry, hey, I'm one of Jodie's friends. Hi, Jodie.
I'm just gonna ask a question that someone asked in the chat. Margarita Carol or Carol or Carol. Thank you, Jodie. Do you find that your different art pieces vary in who the intended audiences are? And what happens when you specify? You said a little bit on this when you mentioned the spill the milk portion of the performance.
What happens when I specify? I'm not sure if I understand that.
Yeah, like, you know, when you specify a specific audience versus like a general American audience, like, were you hoping that that was like all Americans generally would see that? You know, who's in the room? How does that matter to you, and how does that affect you?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, I was informed that the audience would be majority white, and I also researched the history of Asbury Park, Asbury Park is a very interesting place, but it's very divided. You know, it's like the affluent section is closer to the beach, a certain part of the beach, a nicer part of the beach, a touristic part of the beach, and that's where the gallery was. But they're, you know, just across the railroad tracks, it's like a whole different story, you know. So, and you know, the past with Asbury Park being a host to like Black celebrities back in the heyday of like, you know, the 20s, 30s. Yeah, I really thought about that. I thought about breaking that barrier somehow, or making people uncomfortable, and performance is supposed to do that. For
Definitely.
me,
I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, the space is important, and the intended audience is an extremely important point, especially if you're including them.
Yes.
But I know you did another performance on the beach at Asbury Park. That was the Jakomeme. How do you?
Oh, John Canoe Akam. John Canoe Akam. So
John Canoe Akam.
I know. I'll get into that one. John Canoe. But yeah, should I get into this picnic piece? Like, I was making this piece the same time I did that performance in 2017. So yeah, 2017, I got the Franklin Furness Award, and it enabled me to make this piece it's about 40 feet by 40 feet, and it's comprised of 41 tablecloths that are cut into 4 foot by 4 foot sections, and stitched together into this large quilt piece. This is like the biggest piece I've ever made till this day. It involved also making costumes for the performers. And so I've performed it twice for Art and Odd Places on 14th Street Union Square. Walking the 2 mile strip from the east to the west side of 14th Street. Stopping halfway at Union Square for like a little bit of a picnic break, and I shared fruit with people. And then when we got to the park on 14th Street, there's like a little hidden park there. I was able to, we opened up the blanket, but there's like this whole ceremonial type of way of opening it. I didn't include the video, but it's on my website. So if you want to see it later, you can go there. And
yeah, it's fascinating to watch too, just because the bird's eye. Did you use some sort of drone, or is this mounted on a building with the crane. I don't know, crane. How do
No,
you shoot this?
This is an aerial drone
Yeah, okay.
photo,
Yeah.
and I made a video of it as well, of just the opening of the blanket. So
It's very satisfying, I would say, that video.
thank you.
If anyone can go watch it.
So this is kind of, for me, my masterpiece. I was thinking a lot about also race and thinking about migration. I grew up in Jamaica, but that background you saw me in when I was 3, was a farm. My grandmother and my grandfather, they have a farm, and it's growing all kinds of crops, from mangoes to hibiscus, what we call sorrel, to ackee, to scallion, to so you name it. So I have agriculture is a big part of my family background on both sides of the family, and so that informed a lot of this work. And I was also thinking about I had the different colors, thinking about the different the melting pot of people. Like, we're all different colors but come together onto one picnic blanket. So it's very much influenced by the maternal side of my family, on both sides, my father and my mom's side, but my grandmothers,
Sure.
and these 99-cent tablecloths were sourced all over the city. And I went to this material because it's so prevalent in Jamaica and the Caribbean. They would typically, I grew up seeing furniture covered with plastic and vinyl, and there's something so kitschy about it, but I'm just so drawn to that material. So I wanted to use it and exhaust it. With this piece, I exhausted myself with that material. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't know if I'll make anything with that anymore for now. Anyways.
Will you continue to use it? Do you continue to use it for performances, walking through spaces and then spreading it? Or is it sitting in the corner of your studio, folded neatly, waiting to be used again?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's in the basement of my apartment. In the basement. I think it's so involved. And I need 10 people to carry it, because it's actually attached to my dress that I made. And it's I need 10 people to carry it and 10 people to open it. For the most part, I need support. So I would have to get performers and do measurements most of the time. Every time I do another big performance of it, I need new people. I can't get always the same people, so I have to outfit new people, measure them, make costumes, and it's really involved. So I would do it again, but if I need to be supported, heavily for that.
It's a good segue to, of course, not only to be paid for your performance, but also to have that patronage for others that are supporting that performance. So I know it's not just about the performer. It does take a team with a lot of those fabrics. A lot of the other performances that I've seen, you use such a massive amount of the fabric gracefully, may I add. But it's nice to see these images that you set up right now, because they feel a little like croquis, like these dreamy costume sketches. I suppose they're the inspiration for some of the performers' costumes that you use in the past or future.
Yeah, well, these are from my Junkanua series. These drawings really inform the costuming that goes into it. So, as I said, I have about 10 right now. That are somewhat flushed out. For the most part, there are 8 that are complete. They kind of vary too, but depending on who wears them. But for instance, this one with the bucket on the head, this is really my devil character. This is my interpretation of the Jonkanu. It's very research-based piece. So a lot of the elements that are going into the costuming are based on the information I've gathered from YouTube channels to books to journals. And it's funny, some of these characters are described so differently. So it's kind of like a hodgepodge of my findings. And also I I mean, I would have workshops in the past before COVID where people could help me construct the next costume that I want to do. And so it seems like there's this community component to it as a way to educate about the Jamaican Junkanoo, as well as helping to, I don't know, kind of construct a performance that's like to help address racism. When I first made this piece, though, it was about confronting the fact that so many streets were named after slave masters in New York City. And the project has changed somewhat, and now I'm more tackling like historical landmarks that are named after slave masters. So yeah, and I could show you a few more sketches.
Yes, please.
And like, say for instance, this horse character on the top left, on the right, the same character is dragging a ship. So this drawing helped me to develop the piece that I did in Asbury Park in 2019 to commemorate the 400 years of oppression. The characters on the lower side of this image, like you see a group of 4 women holding umbrellas. They're called the Red Set Girls, and on the right is Cowhead. And I'm currently in my studio now on Governor's Island trying to make these costumes.
Fantastic. And did you train yourself on the machine or sewing? Do you do a lot of hand embroidery? In other words, or did you, New World School of the Arts or Hunter or either of the places that you went to get, degrees? Or was this more like a hand-me-down maternal or a self-taught practice, your sewing?
Hand-me-down, self-taught, 100%.
Yeah.
I never took a dressmaking class.
You're at Hunter taking sewing. Right?
Never taken a fashion course like this. I mean, no, my mom. Okay, so I grew up in Jamaica, and I grew up there like from the mid 70s to mid 80s, and it was before there was so much importations on the island and exploitation of like having garment factories there and stuff. So I grew up having like tailored clothes. I went to school where my uniforms were tailored, pretty much everything except for a few things that like family would bring me from abroad, So I would get the remnants of the clothes my mom would be making for me, and I'd make my own doll clothes because there was no Toys R Us to get Barbie's new clothes. I didn't have any doll houses. I had to make my own stuff. I had to make my own doll house. I had to resort to playing in the yard where I would find like construction like materials and like marl, concrete, whatever, and I would make mud cakes and like decorate them with like flowers from the weeds by my mom's garden. Like I was so resourced. I think that
I know the feeling. We didn't have cell
resourceful.
phones or anything. Like I couldn't even watch TV practically half the time. They just like, get out of the house, go do your thing. I'm so happy. Yeah, it's you've been on Governor's Island. There's actually a camp. I think it's called the Yard, where they make you sign off on all this stuff. Like, and so many 70s born parents and some other people that grew up in the 70s or 60s, when they have their kids, they send them there because they genuinely sign it. Like your child may use a power saw, a drill, some other type. Yes, it's on Governor's Island. It's this camp for eight and up maybe, and they just run wild. Or it's called the playground or the VR. Anyway, what you're describing is the precise thing that potentially the impetus for your no idle hands, as I always like to say, your craft, the honing in on any craft, really learning how to make things, right?
Yes.
It's so important. I love the fact that, it's a self-taught and self-driven initiative for you to be creating all these incredible costumes, not only for yourself, but other people you're taking along for the ride.
Yes. Yeah. So, but you know what? In retrospect, I'm very fortunate to have grown up that way. it just made me so resourceful, and I have a deep appreciation for the outdoors as a result of that.
Yes.
And so here is, we're now looking at this drawing it was a part of a proposal for the Met 150, which never happened because of COVID last year.
Right.
So I was approached by the education director to, help make a parade for the Met 150. And so after seeing what I did at Asbury Park with these characters, they invited me to propose something, maybe working with the Met collection with headgear. So to design headgear for the public, or make workshops where the public could make their own headgear and participate.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a very nice offer.
Yeah, but never happened. But that's okay. I did these examples. I made headgear. Sorry, I didn't include them in these, but the drawings here kind of show some of the examples that I later on made replicas of to some degree. And and I'm working with another museum right now to hopefully do something like that.
Cool.
So I imagine those characters in the landscape at Central Park, in that drawing. And this drawing is kind of like a more detailed view of how my Red Set girls would be in the landscape. They would be wearing one garment but spread into 4 parts, kind of thing. And I was thinking about Seneca Village, thinking about the 4 directions, thinking about generations, people thinking about the Black women of Seneca Village before it became Central Park. So it was, and thinking about the red carpet for Met Gala. So my work kind of tied into, I found ways for my work to kind of connect to what the Met, what for me, the Met exemplified, so.
Yeah. How compelling too that the drawing is one big red X.
Yeah.
In referring to Seneca. I mean, it might feel so obvious, yet there's glamour involved with colonialism, basically.
Big time. Yeah, and I was thinking about fashioning the dresses based on the fashion collection in the Met from that time period up to the present day. So, I mean, I'm still working through this same concept because I haven't had the support that I fully needed to get it the way I want it. And I don't know if it'll ever happen, and maybe that's okay. So it'll exist as a drawing for now. Okay, so I'm fast forwarding a little bit because I was presented because of my EFA residency that never happened in person last summer. They stationed me in the Nada House on Governor's Island because they have a few studios there with Nada. And as a result of that, I was able to take a few of my characters to Governor's Island and do like little skits like this,
Nice.
More of an action-based piece, but it's a short one.
Pirouetting on the pagank.
Yes. So the pagank was the original name of Governor's Island. And I released this video on Instagram shortly after I made that, and it was during the elections where it was like the week of back and forth. We didn't know who was going to win, and I got a lot of views. A lot of likes, a lot of views, just from this one silly little video.
How affirming.
It was really fun. I'm gonna fast forward now. And then when Biden-Harris won, I took it out onto the streets in Brooklyn, and it was really fun. I normally don't engage with performing like that as doing street performance, but it worked out really well. Like I was at Maria Hernandez Park, and then a group of, I think they were Puerto Rican revelers. They were like you know, tapping their pots and pans. And I just like formed a parade with them and I led the parade and we were just walking around, you know, marching around Maria Hernandez Park like that. And it was amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. But then
everyone was celebrating that day, November 7th,
yes.
2020.
Yeah. Yes. And then this is the gift video that came out of that.
Fun.
And then another example of what I did on Governor's Island. I'm playing around with the architecture, and I just thought these cannonballs were kind of funny sitting there, and like me sitting on them is kind of like, it's like, okay, let's sit on what this is all about.
Yes. I noticed. Did you paint your
cartoony.
face white?
Yes. So with the Junkanoo, okay. I mean, I didn't go into that so much, but it's kind of like these characters are based on the legend of January Connie, who defeated a slave port back in like the 1700s in Ghana, and then celebration of his capturing or holding the fort down for 20 years, defeating it from the Dutch and holding that position for 20 years. That story carried over to the Caribbean, to Jamaica, Bahamas, Belize, and also southern part of the United States, like the Carolinas. They also celebrate Junkanoo. But it's so interesting, the variations in these different places. So, but for the most part, there is a white-faced character, you know. I mean, I'm taking my reference directly from the illustrations of Isaac Mendez Belisario, who was a Jewish illustrator back in the days of slavery in the early 1800s in Jamaica, who was documenting these slave performances that would happen between Christmas and New Year's. So, and then these enslaved African performers, they would typically dress up as their slave master. And this particular character is called, I call it househead. I mean, it's also called househead traditionally in Jamaica, but typically it would be the plantation house as the head.
Yes.
So I'm just like putting my spin on it with the White House. The head, it's like the head.
Yeah. Right.
House of power. It has to be a house of power, a house of parliament, plantation house, all kind of representing this governing power, right? So
the Junkanoo then is celebrated. You reference in the Caribbean and then in the South of the U.S. In other words, between Christmas and New Year's, is there a reason for that? Is that when the ship was seen to be overtaken, or is it when the Junkanoo defeated other?
Oh, that's a good question.
Evildoers, or
no? Well, it's held at that time because that's when the slaves had off.
Okay.
Between Christmas and New Year's is when the only time that the slaves could be their own people, and they celebrated their own African traditions and melded it into Victorian or Shakespearean plays. And it was a way to kind of appeal to the slave master, and they would go from house to house and juggle and shake a pot, or like they would get donations based on their performances and based on their mimicking of the slave master. See, so there's like, that's performance art.
Yes, it is.
But back at the time, which, you know, so yeah, all of the characters in Jamaican Junkanoo are masked.
I see.
And so a lot of the masks, it's a variety of white face to mesh ugly faces, like scary faces. Yeah. So it's political, you know.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm going to pass forward.
Yeah, Jodie, keep going, because I want to just give you a little heads up. It's 10 minutes till 7.
Went really fast. So then this is one of the rubbings I did on Governor's Island that talks about how the land was purchased with 2 axe heads, string of beads, a handful of nails, and it's just a rubbing of a plaque that's on Governor's Island. This is the dress I was talking about, but I was thinking about using that space as a way to commemorate the African Americans who died at the hands of police in 2020. This is just a sketch. It's not fully sewn yet. Ahmaud Arbery is not one of those people, but I'm still very much working on the piece and what this should include. So this was at Dumbo Arts last season from December to, I was there from December to late June, and now I'm on Governor's Island again with Triangle. These are the prints I've been making here at EFA. This is the Junkanua book with the images, the AR experience. And these are the drawings that are now on Artfare.
Yes.
And these are the drawings that went into, these are enlarged drawings that were developed from sketches that went into the building of the performance Junkanu Hakamama, which was performed at Smack Melon. These are
very
reasonable
at
that.
600, right? And it's Chinese ink on archival paper.
Oh yes, yes. These are Chinese ink on archival paper, about 8 by 11.
Awesome.
And I intend to make series of silkscreen edition as well. But these are the original drawings that I'm selling for 600.
Awesome.
And it's about healing, and so as you see on the faces, they're basically face coverings that are meant to enhance the part of the sense that is meant to be enhanced. So like the eyes, the nose, the taste, the ears, and the hands free. So I incorporated all of these senses into the performance that I did at Smack Melon. I won't show the video here because of time, but you can go on the Smack Melon website and look up Land Akin, and all the information is also on the Artfare link.
Yes.
And these are just development sketches that went into the performance. Here is just an image of the performance. As I said, you can look at it later. And I'm gonna fast forward because there's something I really wanted to show you.
Yeah.
I'm thinking a lot, okay, so the elements that were incorporated into that Junkanu Hakamama performance, I incorporated a lot of bamboo, fabric, rope, and that was tied into this recent installation I did for Daughters of Lamb at 5 Miles, where you encounter my work.
Yes.
And this is also going to be on Artfare. This is one leftover piece from
it already is
exhibition.
Actually.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
I haven't checked it today. This was also an image. This is in a private collection now as a result of that show. And
that is the work framed, and it's $700?
This one, yes.
Wonderful.
It's like an 8 by 10 image, but it's framed, and it's on museum. It has museum glass.
Nice.
It's there's no non-glare glass. I had it professionally framed.
Good deal.
And that's an exhibition view, installation view. And I worked with bamboo, and so I like to not waste materials. I wasn't gonna bring this bamboo back to my house. And so I decided to recycle it. I recycled it and incorporated it into this performance that happened upstate at Rosekill in Rosendale. I covered part of the raft with the bamboo, and basically later on installed some bamboo fencing where the girl in the yellow and white is on the right side of the screen, like going up the hill. And I did a performance up there as well. Okay. So I had to row people from one part of the lake to the other.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay. So here's the juicy part.
Yes. There you go. 18 and over.
I mean, yeah, I wanted to show a little bit of that last video, but I'm gonna fast forward this to about here. So I was at Joshua Tree a few weeks ago, and in this piece, I was just so into this landscape, and I found myself just really taking it in. I had to take a breather. I was so exhausted and burnt out just from being in New York. And so this was like such a reprieve for me. I was basically celebrating a friend's birthday, but we rented this huge Airbnb, and this was right in front of the Airbnb. I don't even know if I have permission to, but whatever. It's art.
Wow.
I'm calling this natural symphony for now. I basically enjoy walks, and it's like a meditative walk. I took my bathing suit off and from the pool, and I was just like, let me check this out. There were hares in the desert, and I don't know if you noticed, as soon as I touched the pole, the birds flew away.
Yeah.
So there's something very like magical about that, and I was thinking about music notes and the sounds that the birds were making and the leaves, and it was just so, there's something so musical and calming about it.
Meditative too, you know,
Yeah.
the stillness of the
Yeah.
camera and the mountains, heck, even the clouds in the sky, yet the foreground of the leaves moving in the wind. It gives it a really wonderful, I'm in the now moment. Yet, may I add that it is a little bit haunting to have the figure off at this, you know, segmented horizon there at the fence.
Yeah, so I was thinking about, you know, what we have imposed on nature and the boundaries, and you know, nothing could be natural and pure. It's not this natural, fully natural landscape. Like there is definitely like this imprint that we've left on it with like even the electric wires, you know. But, and I was even wearing flip-flops, but I don't know if you noticed. So there, you know,
Not from here, sister.
but it was, I made it very quickly, and I'm happy I did it. But
And did
then,
you just confront the camera at the end? Is that the?
I just go up to the camera. I just walk past the camera and go back to
Okay.
off screen. And I had a pine cone on my head, so it was like I was balancing this pine cone at the same time.
Balancing. Yeah, we were mentioning earlier with the performance a while back. You did in response to Nari Ward at Lehman Maupin. That balancing act was really impressive as well. It's like 15 or 20 apples in a basket.
Yeah.
Do you do that often? Are you just kind of do you do that for like, do you practice? I'm wondering. No.
I mean, I don't know. I like crowns. I don't know.
Yes.
You know, I love hats. I like things to cover my head for some reason, but it's I think there is something meditative on that. See how long you can hold something on your head and remain in a certain stillness.
Yeah, a couple performance artists that I've talked to or worked with in the past, or just have seen, they go to the acrobatics and like not zero gravity and like all of these different dance classes and other things for endurance performance in particular. And so I just wondered, you got to hone in your skills, especially for some of these endurance performances. It takes so much strength and balance and certainly poise in order to do some of the things you have to do during endurance performances. And not so much your pieces are endurance performances, but there's maybe a slight reference to some of that.
Yes, I have a background in dance as well, and I think that was a performance art as a way for me to incorporate some of that. Yeah. And I'm going to end with this slide, I guess. This is what I'm up to right now, making more monoprints of those drawings that I showed you earlier, my Junkanoo. And it's going well. Yeah, I love the process. And I think this is here at Governor's Island. That's what my studio looks like.
Beautiful.
It's outdoor and indoor.
Yeah.
And I'm making these dollar bill pieces with the Jamaican currency and the American currency. This was a special edition of Jamaican $100 bills. And I was working on a project in 2013 and decided to kind of revisit that and play with pattern and currency and
capitalism. And now's the time with butterfly. We got trending.
Yeah, this is yeah, and thinking about like I don't know, the equivalent now to this was based on the the equivalent of the Jamaican dollar and the US dollar. Like $1 now is not 100 Jamaican, it's now like 150 Jamaican. So there's inflation. So I'm playing with like, you know, who determines this value? Like how did, you know, this economics and play and like, I don't know, I'm also playing with geometry and thinking about nature and all that stuff. So this is like another what I'm playing around with. This is all very much in progress. And yeah, I'm location scouting right now to do maybe some more video, photo pieces. Governor's Island, I'm really interested in these particular sites. The image on the left of the tree is a plaque where I did the rubbing on gold paper. So there's some significance to that it's right across from the commanding officer's quarters. Yeah, and then this is my info. So yeah, where to find me.
Amazing.
Should I stop the share now?
Yeah, let's stop the share and say hello. Oh man, that was really fantastic. Thank you so much for walking us through that and taking some of my questions in the center of it all. I really feel like I got a little bit more, and I certainly intend to come see a performance soon as there is one. But I'll be looking for the risograph coloring book, or Jakanu, and really appreciate your well-researched and very thoughtful, inspiring work, and important work, Jodie. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do want to give a shout out.
Yeah,
thank you for inviting me. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to EFA for making me use this space. Natalia and Essie, they're awesome.
Very cool. I know it sounds like you got a party in the background going on. It's like a low murmur of good time.
Yes, they're having a little party in front. I'm going there right now.
That's right. Celebrate. Well, enjoy yourself, and thank you. And I hope to see you in person one day soon.
Yes, likewise.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Ciao. Keep up the great work.
Thank
Bye.
you. Ciao.